Hello, welcome to Mornings with Michael. It is not morning here in California, but I'm sure it's morning somewhere. We had a little problem with our weekend update uh, podcasts, so we're going to place that right here. A word of the day. We start every episode out with a word of the day and end the episode with our quote of the day. And our word of the day is countervail. Countervail, offset the effect of something by countering with something of equal force. It's a verb. And we'll come back to our quote of the day later. And right now we're going to pause for right here. We have Bitcoin. Bitcoin has been trending down quite a bit. It's right up here around 109 and it came all the way down to 107,500. Let's look at Ethereum. I was reading an article somewhere that it they thought Ethereum was going to start trending. So we're going to continue to watch this. So that is the story with Ethereum. So here we are at all-time highs. And I just want to show you this chart because the market is unpredictable, just as our political leaders are unpredictable, and some of their decisions can affect the market. So this is an annuity pension plan. It goes up when the market goes up, and when the market goes down, it does not go down. It goes up again, and it stays flat when the market goes down. When the market went down 54%, people were very happy they were in this type of plan. And when it went down 54%, their their plan stayed flat and did not lose money. And the annuity average annual growth is 12.58% to the index is 7.57%. So I just wanted to share that with you. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me. And we're going to move on to the rest of our show. So on Friday, I called this a heat map. Today, I call it a chill map. There's a lot of selling off here, but the market has come up quite a lot. So you would expect every now and then profit taking to happen, and it's healthy for the market. I show this chart because it shows where all the big money is flowing or flowing out of today. Technology, Apple is off 2%. Palantir is up 2 point, actually, now it's up 3.54%. Commercial cyclical, consumer defensive, industrials, communication services, software applications, semiconductors, financial, healthcare, real estate, utilities, energy, and basic materials. And we kind of go through this when we look at the indexes on the charts, but I just wanted to go over that. That's the reason we look at that. And there's a lot of money flowing out of the high-tech sectors today, but we'll see where that goes over the rest of the week. GEV is the one that is highlighted in specialty industrial, which is moving up. And we are going to move on to our charts now. So this is TOST. This is in our portfolio. We've been sharing this for, I don't know, maybe about a week. And TOST had a heavy bounce off of the 10-day moving average. The 10-day moving average is this little pink line right here. And it's kind of been following along the 20-day, which is this green line. And the 10-day moving average had a strong bounce. And look at this big volume. That's not your Aunt Edna buying that stock. So it is moving on up. So we'll just have to see. Look at these earnings this year, 2,186% increase. So that is moving on up. Let's take a look first at the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ pulled back a little bit. It was down a little over 1% earlier, but it did recover some, down 0.75 for the day. And it's off another 0.19 after hours. The S&P 500 is down about the same as the NASDAQ, 0.75%. There's a lot of big issues that are in the NASDAQ that are also in the S&P 500, and they carry the heaviest weight. We can look at the equal weight. See if it comes up this way. The equal weight in the NASDAQ, it's down a little heavier, down 1%. Look at IWM, is down 1.5%. And the Dow Jones was hit hard as well, down 0.91%. But it's not uncharacteristic for them to come down to their 10 or 20-day moving averages. So we will see what tomorrow brings. So we're going to take a look at our indexes. I'm just going to pause for a second. So before we go, this is the 200-day line right here, this black line. This red line is a 50-day moving average. The green line is a 20-day, and the pink line is a 10-day. So we'll go back over to the NASDAQ. So over in the NASDAQ, we had a crossover of the 50-day here. So what that means is we have a power trend. A power trend is when all of these lines are lined up properly. So the 10-day is above the 20-day, the 20-day is above the 50-day, and the 50-day is above the 200-day. That's called a power trend. And usually that's when, initially when that happens, you want to put the pedal to the metal and invest as strongly as you can. And that's when the market really takes off. So that is the story there. Let's take a look at the financials. Financials pulled back a little bit today, down just under 1%. Look at our other financial index. It wasn't hit as bad. It was down 0.8%. The KBW Bank ETF. So this is the energy, down 1% on energy. It had a little bit of a run here, pulled back to its 10 and 20-day moving averages, and then bounced. Aerospace and defense. This has been one of the strongest indexes, and it pulled back to its 10-day earlier in the week, and it is going on up today. Communications pulls back to its 10-day moving average, off 0.96%. Can see it's some pretty good volume. That is something to take note of. When you have a higher volume on selling, that is a worrying sign. Utilities actually bounce. They bounce off of the 10-day moving average. Real estate sells off as well. Biotech pulls back to the 10 and 20-day moving average. The other biotech does the same. Software holding pretty steady at the top of the pivot zone here. This pivot zone is a 5% area where it's recommended that you buy. Once it gets past the pivot zone, it's extended and it's highly risky to buy at that point. And this red area down here, this is a sell zone. You want to protect your profits anywhere from 5 to 7%. You want to cut those stocks at that point. So if it goes down to this area and bounces back, you can always get back in, but you just have no idea how far it'll fall. Technology, it's pulling back a little bit, down 0.79%. Infrastructure, it's kind of fell down and then fought back a little bit, off 0.92%. Semiconductors pulling back as well. A lot of people have the belief that if a stock falls below the 20-day moving average, 21-day moving average here, and remains there, that you should sell the stock. If it comes up above it, you can buy it back again, but some bad things could possibly be in the mentioning that you don't know about. So that is how people manage their portfolios. Jets. Jets is pulling back. Wow, off 1.29% today. Leisure activity pulling back, but it's still a ways away from all these moving averages. Industrials. Holding pretty steady there. Industrials down 0.35%. Healthcare, kind of a gap down to its 50-day moving average. Consumer staples really sold off and then bounced back strongly, off 0.09%, almost pretty flat for the day. Building materials, off 0.96, kind of like the general market. Mining and metals, usually sold off and then bounced back, still down 1.28% for the day. Home builders pulling back, got close to the 10-day moving average. And finally, uranium. Uranium really bounced. It pulled back to the 20-day moving average and got up to the 10-day, up 0.21% for the day. So we're going to take a look at some of the stocks that were up on volume where the big money was flowing. Albertsons got a strong bar right here, similar to what we saw with TOST, and it's up 3.69%. Got 12 items here. Asset and entities. This is kind of a penny stock, but it's up 63% today. Huge blue bar. You might want to check into what is making that happen. This is a Chinese stock, a tour lifestyle. Really sprung into the buy zone, the pivot zone here. Got this blue dot. This signifies a new high against the S&P 500. So you can just draw that line there and you can see it's above the previous high against the S&P 500. Bilibili, Chinese provider of high quality content and immersive entertainment. Gaps up to the top of the pivot zone there. Huge volume. Kachi International Systems Managed Network pulls to the top of the pivot zone on a down market. That's really tells you something. Maybe people are rotating out of technology into these areas. Huge volume and a huge price move, up 3.27%. Enovix develops and produces silicon arcade lithium batteries with high energy density. It's made a big move today. Look at that, up 14.4%. We had a warning over here that institutions were moving into this. This is pretty high volume. None of the selling volume came close to the buying volume, and it just jumped today. Geo Group, up 4.5% today. Look at their earnings. This year, 26%, and next year it's supposed to be up 136%. Li Auto tried to move up, but got turned away at its 50-day moving average. Pretty good volume. Rocket Lab, this is the one in the ITA index. Just really takes off here. Earnings aren't for 31 days, but look at that volume. This volume was higher, but the stock didn't move very much. So that is your key indicator. Sandstrom Gold, Canadian company engaged in the acquisition of gold streams in Brazil, Mexico, Canada, and Africa. Got a breakout here. Up 6.33%, and look at that massive volume. Right here, this is saying the largest volume since the base. Unity Software gaps up today on massive volume. There must be some news there. Up 14%. Earnings aren't for 36 days. WNS Holdings. Indian producer of business process outsourcing service for the banking and financial industry. Look at that gap up. Must be some big news over there as well. And I think that is the end of our list. Yeah, so when looking at this, it looks like we got a recent crossover from the 10 and 20-day moving averages above the 50-day. So that could be in a power trend as well. We're just going to look at maybe 3 of the top holdings. Relative strength line new high, Crown Holdings. This is extended, but you can see it's in a power trend. The 10-day moving average is above the 20-day, the 20-day is above the 50, and the 50 is above the 200. And it looks like we're getting close to being a new high for the S&P 500, the relative strength line here. JP Morgan Chase off 1.36%. People taking some profits there. Carpenter Technology was actually up today, up 0.41%. They're in the steel specialty alloys group. Disney tried to break out today and then pulled back. So this is something you could kind of watch out for, see if it's able to break into the pivot zone or if it's going to sell off. Emerson Electric, pulling back here a little bit, got into the pivot zone. Yes, we got a cross on the 50-day above the 200. So this is definitely in a power trend. So that is that. That is what we're looking at today. Just kind of take a look at what we're currently doing. NVIDIA, um, soft 0.69%, but it's had a huge move from back here. Take a look at Palantir, which was actually up for the day. Got a nice move away from the pivot zone here. Got a nice blue bar. We'll see if it can continue tomorrow. With Bitcoin going down, MicroStrategy is pulling back, getting close to the 10 and 20-day moving average, down 2% today. We looked at TOST before. It's looking pretty good. Rigetti is up on a down day in the market. Up 2.23% today. I think trying to find D-Wave. Might be QUT. I'm just going to look for that. QBTS. So these are the two that I've seen a lot of articles of comparing one another. D-Wave is down 0.18%. We can take this comparison chart here. And just compare the two. Pretty neck and neck. Which one will kind of lead in the quantum computing space is a good question. Meta, have this in our portfolio through METU. It's off 0.09%. So that WGS kind of sliced through its 10-day moving average. So we're going to continue to watch that. GEV was actually up, getting pretty close to the profit zone, up 2.56%. And I think that'll wrap it up for today. We're going to just go back and look at our quote of the day to close out our show. Our quote of the day is, don't focus on making money, focus on protecting what you have. Risk management is one of the most important things that you can do. That's why we're showing the profit zone and the loss zone. You want to keep your losses 5 to 7%, and you want to take your profits between 20 and 25%. I usually like to take 1/3 profit at 20 to 25%, 1/3 at 25 to 35%, and hold the last third to see if it is really going to move. If it pulls back, then I can take my profit, and then I'm kind of guaranteed to have a profit. This is how you make a profitable business in trading. I appreciate everybody who's tuned in today. Hope you all have a great evening. Go out there and make a difference. And we will be here back again tomorrow. This has been Mornings with Michael in the afternoons. Have a great day.